Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my new video. My name is AJ. I'm here to talk about the truth about Chinese power cuts and Chinese power shortages and what it could mean for the world. So without further ado, guys, let's get on with the show. So before I start, guys, if you'd like to support my channel, welcome to buy me a coffee or join my Patreon. I recently got an email from YouTube saying my channel is on a strike. It's not going to get monetized due to the sensitive nature of the channel, and also the channel is not educational. So I'm going to try and put more educational videos to you guys, and also some more entertainment stuff to kind of mix things up a bit. It's not always going to be about politics, so hopefully that will work. But in the meantime, I kindly request that if you do like the channel, or you do like support what I do, then continue what I'm doing, and any help would be appreciated. So there's a lot of articles coming out that China's got a power shortage, China's not got enough power, there's a lot of power cuts all over China, it's threatening supply chains, disruptions, and it's causing higher prices and inflation. And you know, every Western article is talking about it. Some Western articles are actually celebrating, saying, oh, this is the end of China as we know it, blah blah blah. It's gonna collapse China, the economy is not gonna grow. But these Western companies and media outlets, they're not seeing the big picture like I do. They really have no idea, or they do not have a clue how all this works. So let me explain, guys, let me explain. So China at the moment is the factory of the world. Everything gets made there, everything in China, and everything gets made in China very cheap, because there's cheap labor, there's plenty of resources like humans. You got 1.4 billion people, obviously. You got cheaper rent compared to Western countries like America and Europe. So everything that's built or made in China is much cheaper. And if you had to make the same thing in USA or Europe, for example, you're gonna have to pay someone minimum wages. You got high rent, high cost of living, high cost of raw materials. Everything stacks up, and it becomes very expensive to kind of build things in the West. So all of these capitalist companies, they would make lower profit if they make in the West. So right now, because they've been made in China, things are very cheap, and there's a huge supply chain. There's access to raw materials, access to cheap labor, access to cheap rent. So you can build, you can build huge factories. So everything is cheaper in China, and the whole world relies on China for these goods, especially during coronavirus, when most of the world had been shut down, and they've been shut down for the past 2 years. A lot of factories shut down in Europe, in the West, in India. So the whole world has been relying on China to give them all of these products that they need, right? But they haven't thought about one thing. One important thing they've not thought about is pollution and power, right? So let me explain, guys. You know, China's exports have gone up last few years, and they've gone up by I think some people are saying, estimating 25 to 35%. They've gone up since before COVID. And so that means the cost of making these products would require more power, would require more than 25 to 35% of power. And you know, China has a huge amounts of power already as it is, but most of the power comes from coal. So when you need more power, obviously more coal is being burnt, and it does have other sources of energy, but coal is, I think it's about 70% at the moment, is very high. And there's a lot of coal power plants, and because of that, pollution increases, and the whole world is sitting there letting China create these items, while at the same time they are beating China, saying, "Oh, China is the biggest polluter. Fine them, kick them, you know, blame them for the world ending." While at the same time, most of the goods are being created in China, and all of these capitalist companies that like Apple and all of these other Western huge companies, they make their goods in China. They create the pollution. They, suffocate Chinese power needs, and then they have with another stick, they start beating up China, saying, "Oh, you guys are the biggest polluters," when everybody knows that all of the major companies, create stuff all over the world. All of the major companies go to China and have these huge factories and create more pollution, take more power. So, over the past few years, China needed more and more power to service these factories and service these goods, and these goods have been sent all over the world. And because countries around the world, because of the coronavirus, can't do it themselves. They don't have the manufacturing capacity. Most of the companies are shut down, or they don't have the raw materials. So what's been happening is these companies in China, they've been taking on more work. Because of that pre-pandemic level, they were at a good level, but since the pandemic, China was required to take on more work to supply goods to the rest of the world. So obviously, pollution had been increasing, and the need for power had been increasing. So the government itself has realized this, and they have been cracking down. So one of the reasons why Bitcoin was banned in China is because Bitcoin mining, it takes a huge amount of energy, so they're getting rid of a lot of craps like that. So they've banned Bitcoin mining and things like that. But they also like looking at all of these companies that are heavily polluting the atmosphere with coal, and they have been telling them to cut down their coal usage, and especially a lot of these companies have not been listening to the government. So what's happening now? The government is actually cracking down on all of these companies, and they're saying, "Look, you guys need to kind of lower your coal needs," and also even cutting the power for some of these companies as well. So where do we see this in the big scheme of things? So if you think about it, guys, if you actually think about it, the whole world has been kicking China for the past few years, saying it's the biggest polluter, and America, especially other countries like Europe, even India, have been having trade wars with China, while at the same time they've been buying goods from China, right? And all of these goods, you need power, and these are very heavily polluting, like the rare earth materials, all these raw materials that get created in China. They're very polluting for the atmosphere. It's not very good for China. So they're happy to buy these goods from China, while at the same time kick China with another stick, saying, "Oh, these guys are polluters. These guys," and they talk about the trade war, and they talk about decoupling. Well, at the same time, America's exports have risen of the past year. 40% they've gone up. They've been buying more and more stuff from China. And there's an article here. Biden campaigned against the trade war with China, but ending it is complicated. He can't end it because everybody knows this trade war is wrong. It's the trade war, the deficit is increasing. China is buying less and less from America, while America is buying more and more. So this is the clever thing about what China is doing, actually. Not a lot of people actually realize this, but for China to be curbing on carbon dioxide and curbing power and all of these companies, the whole world is realizing, oh crap, the supply chain is being affected. Our goods are going to be more expensive. So a lot of these goods that are being created in China, suddenly the price has gone up because of these power curbs all over China. So while something was literally cheap before, kind of a few weeks ago. Now it's probably doubled in price, or it's gone up by 25 or 50% even. Raw materials have increased. So all of these companies all over the world, all of the countries are buying goods from China. Suddenly everything's very, very expensive. And not only that, it's bad news for inflation. So already inflation is rising in America. So when you have to buy goods with a huge tariff, because Biden stupidly has left all the tariffs on Chinese goods as well, then on top of that, you got to deal with all the rising costs of goods coming from China, rising costs of shipping, and rising costs of fuel, and then you'll see a lot of these companies have to increase their costs, and these costs go, to the consumers. The companies make less and less profit, and some of them might even go bankrupt. So it's a clever thing what China is doing, because what this is affecting is the world. It's not just affecting China. China, has got this dual circulation thing going, where it will service, its own people first, and then it will export to the world. So I think what China is doing right now, what my understanding is they have enough products and materials to keep the local population happy. They've got enough power for all the local residents. So, and the only power curbs and limits are done on these major factories, and things like Apple's supply chain is being affected, and all these other major companies, Western companies' supply chains is being affected. So in return, all of these products that go to the West, the prices for them are rising. And it's a very, very clever way, because this way China stays safe and the rest of the world suffers. Their inflation goes up and up and up. And at the moment, already America's inflation is going through the roof. But now this is going to trigger it even more. So a lot of people don't realize that. People think, oh, China's collapsing. No, this is not just affecting China. This is affecting the whole world more than it's affecting China. Much, much more. Right? So once the inflation starts going up, companies start making less profit, people start making less money, they've got less money to spend. The society is gonna go crazy. Especially in America, there'll be riots, and and especially a lot of stuff that's going on in America right now, especially with the debt limit. The coming up to the top, so they really don't want to take on more debt. But with all these, there's more deaths going on in America. There's about 700,000 people dead now with the coronavirus, and a lot of people dying because of drug usage by fentanyl, and and a lot more people becoming homeless day by day. America's really, the bottom half of America are going further below poverty level, and it's not looking good, guys. So people that are saying that all of this is affecting China and China's going down, you got your facts wrong. You need to think about the full picture. You need to think about the whole picture and why China is doing what it's doing right now. And one of the reasons it's doing what it's doing is making the world realize how important China is. And if you keep beating China with a stick and expecting good things in one hand, and beating China with the stick with the other hand, then things are not going to work well. And this is a message that China is sending now, saying to the West, you know what, guys, we don't need you. We will cut down power in all of these factories. As long as we have enough stuff for ourselves, we're happy. We've got a huge middle class, a huge amount of people that have come out of poverty. We're happy to kind of have this dual circulation and keep our people happy. But with exports, basically, we're not, it's not very important anymore. The planet is important. We want to cut down our CO2 costs, our power consumption. So if you want us to be the factory of the world, you gotta think about all of the power and stuff, and this stuff cannot go to another country, guys. This stuff cannot go to another country. For example, if they decided to move all their manufacturing to Taiwan or Vietnam or something, even they don't have enough power to run all these factories. Vietnam is still an up and coming country. It's still got a lot of coal factories there. It doesn't have nuclear as much as solar or all these renewable energies. China, for what it has, especially as a big country, it's got a huge amount of energy coming in from nuclear, solar, wind, hydroelectric. It's got a lot of coal power stations, but all of that power these factories, and a lot of people don't realize that, and they think, oh, let's move everything to India, let's move everything to Taiwan, let's move everything to Vietnam. You can't do that. It's not that easy. First of all, the supply chain is not there. Secondly, they don't have the power. They don't have the basic resources like water, for example. Even Taiwan, doesn't have enough water to make its semiconductors. It doesn't have enough power to it's got enough power to run the country, but it doesn't have enough power to run huge factories all over Taiwan. No way. India, even though it's a high polluter right now, India doesn't want to be an even bigger polluter and start raising all of these coal factories everywhere. And so it's not that easy, guys. People might think, yeah, beat up China, they're the biggest polluters, but do you even know why they're the biggest polluters? They are the factory of the world. They supply the whole world with goods that you need everyday life. So just have a think. So that's the truth, really. And let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the next video.